grandpa stole his first buggy in 1892. I met your grandma pig slopping in 46.
Oh, every Christmas we'd visit my Uncle Fred in prison.
And welcome to America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. And this segment is brought to you by LegacyTree.com. And today's guests, I'm excited. These guys have some great information. It's the centennial of World War I, and we have Ken Nelson on the show. He's from FamilySearch.org. His grandfather fought in World War I, was in the Tank Corps, and you're going to want to hear his stories about how he researched his soldier and how you can do the same. Some secrets to records that you might not be aware of. And then later in the show, it's the latest on Roots Tech 2018. Tara Bergson's going to be with us. She's with Roots Tech, and we're going to make the announcement of the very first keynote speaker that's going to be part of Roots Tech coming up in February. Good stuff straight ahead. Hey, welcome to a few new members of our Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Robin Falk, Beth Young, Christine Bartley, and Amber Ferdig, by the way. We had her on last week, but she liked it so much she actually upped her level so she could be part of our Ask Me Anything live YouTube sessions. We're going to do another one of those later this month, by the way. You can sign up at patreon.com/extremegenes or just go to extremegenes.com and click on Patron Club, and you'll find it right there. It's real easy to do. For less than the cost of a nice, juicy hamburger, you can have early access to our podcasts. You can get 2 bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on the website and on the show, and, of course, our live YouTube Ask Me Anything sessions once a month with various guests. David was our first guest, in fact, just a few weeks ago. David, welcome back, by the way. David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. Last week you were in Kentucky, and now you're back in Beantown. How are things?
Oh, I'm doing great because I'm on vacation this week. So
always
delighted to be kind of in Beantown, but on my own terms.
Absolutely. All right. We got a lot of ground to cover here. We got some good stories this week for Family Histoire News.
Exactly. Well, what I want to do is I want to tell everyone now to go out and take 128 coins and bury them deep in your backyard. And leave a note somewhere so your descendants will find this, because at a primary school in Northumberland, England, one of the local caretakers got permission to take out his metal detector. And voila, 128 silver coins ranging from the era of Edward IV to Henry VII. These medieval coins, ready for this, Fish?
Yeah.
Worth over $15,000 in U.S. currency.
Wow. We're talking from the 1400s to the 1500s here. Mm-hmm. And these coins are in pretty good shape.
They must have been stacked right next to each other. Unfortunately, the current zinc pennies that we have now, you drop them in the ground, pick them out, they're mostly all corroded. So probably chances are you're going to have to get some pretty hardy coins to put in the ground and leave that note for your descendants.
Absolutely.
Who knows, might find it years from now. Now, Fish, when you go to the carnival with your family and somebody offers you a fugu balloon, please do not take it home.
What?
Well, you don't have to worry because they haven't seen any since April of 1945. So what these were the actual acts of Japanese schoolgirls, incendiary devices that were part of the Japanese war machine. They flew above the Pacific and landed in various places around the country, including 2 which made it to Texas in March 23rd and 24th, 1945. Now, luckily, the people that found them did not get injured. This is not, unfortunately, the case for the 6 people who accidentally were killed when examining one in Oregon. And they were actually the first and only civilian casualties on the continental U.S. during the entire war.
Yeah, as a result of actions of the enemy. Isn't that amazing?
It is. Fugu balloons. Well, everybody loves a little Sunday football, and here in Beantown, we, of course, love our New England Patriots, and Tom Brady, being one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history, actually has a connection back to Beantown.
Now, he's from California originally, right?
Mm-hmm. And his ancestors went out from the gold rush after having arrived into Boston as famine Irish immigrants.
And they didn't know this really until fairly recently. That's kind of cool, because I think Brady's family had been in California for so long, they didn't really think about, well, where'd they come from before that?
They probably thought they arrived from the West Coast, as many people did actually come across.
Sure.
And come in through steamers that way.
But they were from Boston. They lived in Boston for at least a generation after coming over.
Exactly. And now he lives, of course, in Boston. So this really makes a connection for him stronger so he can stomp around the same streets his ancestors did down in South Boston.
Right.
And East Boston. Well, this week's genealogical spotlight is for a blog called genspotters.com. This is a blog that's put together by 3 people, including Diane Torville, Daniel Jaros, and Suzanne Galais. This is a wonderful blog, and one of the things I like about it is it touches on French-Canadian genealogy, which we get a lot of in the United States with our ancestors being from Canada. If you have that French-Canadian, you may have found that you have multiple surnames. Well, that is called a Dit name, and they go into some great detail, Fish, on what a Dit name is and how to understand why they had them.
Well, and the word Dit, remembering my 3rd grade French, means to speak, to say. Mm-hmm. So
exactly.
Your say name, so the name that's said of you. So I guess it's an additional name. That's kind of cool.
It is. So essentially, for my last name, and I'm just going to throw out a make-believe example, if you're Lambert, you could be Dit Belanger. So there's that type of thing where you might use either or.
Interesting.
A variety of records.
So you go to genspotters.com to read about that. And of course, we've linked to that at extremegenes.com, as we have with all these stories.
Exactly. And it's a wonderful way to reach out to our listeners. As I found out, many of our blogger spotlights are actual Extreme Genes listeners to begin with.
Yep.
Well, that's all I have from Beantown and my vacation getaway this week. And we look forward to talking to you next week. But don't forget, if you are not an American Ancestors member, you can go to AmericanAncestors.org, become a free guest member user of the Society, or save $20 on a regular membership by using the checkout code EXTREME.
All right. Very good, David. Talk to you again next week, and thanks for the time.
All right, my friend. Talk to you soon.
And speaking of assets, don't forget to sign up for our weekly Genie newsletter. It's absolutely free. Just go to extremegenes.com, and you'll find the sign up right there or on our Facebook page as well. And coming up next, we're going to talk to Ken Nelson. He's with FamilySearch.org, and he's a specialist in World War I because his grandfather fought in it. And he's got some great ideas for you to research your ancestors during the centennial of World War I. Coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right. Or go to patreon.com/extremegenes.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
We are back. It's America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment of the show is brought to you by MyHeritage.com. Can't believe that it's been the 100th anniversary now of World War I. We've been going through this now for some time, obviously dating back to 2014, the 100th anniversary of this segment of it, and the 100th anniversary of that. Next year, we're going to have the 100th anniversary of the end of the war and the armistice. And a lot of people are recalling their grandfathers, their great-grandfathers, and some of the service that they put in at that time. One of those is a project manager over at FamilySearch.org. He's Ken Nelson. He's a military specialist. And a lot of that just goes back to his family member. Hi, Ken. Welcome to Extreme Genes.
Hi, Scott.
You know, isn't it fun after all these years that we have all this material now that we can draw on to start to put together timelines and stories about our ancestors? First of all, there is a 100th anniversary coming up right now for you, is there not?
Well, yes, to get a little bit ahead of the story, on October the 10th, 1917, my grandfather left Woods Cross, Utah for his training as a soldier. He enlisted, and he went to Camp Kearney in California. That's where he got his initial training.
And that was 100 years ago this coming week.
100 years ago this coming week.
That's unbelievable. How long have you been researching him? Did you know him?
Yes, I did know him. I think some of my first memories of when he talked about going over the top, and he had an old unit history that he was always reading, and eventually fell apart. He read it so much, so my mother took the book and got it bound. Plus, he had war souvenirs, his old doughboy helmet and his victory medal and some pictures. So I had some artifacts that I was very curious about and just started asking him a few questions. Of course, as a very young baby boomer, I didn't know what kind of questions I needed to ask, but I just knew a few tidbits here and there of his story.
Now, what does it mean, by the way, for those unfamiliar? What does the term going over the top mean?
That refers to a unique characteristic of World War I battles, the entrenchments, the trenches that were dug in, like on the Hindenburg Line and a few places like that. The soldiers would basically be in these trenches, and when the call came for them to go over the top, that's what they did out of these huge, huge trenches.
Wow.
Trench warfare.
And they're right out in the open then, really. I mean, they're
really
subject
right out in the open
to everything the enemy has to throw at them. Was your grandfather ever wounded in battle?
He has a rather unique story. No, I don't think he was wounded, but he was in the tank corps.
Okay.
And this is where the story gets interesting, because what a lot of people aren't aware of is what's significant about 2017 is it's the centennial when the United States entered the war.
Okay.
War was declared by Congress on the 6th of April, 1917, after President Woodrow Wilson went to Congress and addressed a joint session on April the 2nd asking for a declaration. And that's sort of when everything started, at least for the United States.
How come then your guy was so late getting in at that point?
Well, our president declared our neutrality from 1914 up to when it just couldn't be avoided in 1917. Issues like the attacks by the U-boat submarines in the Atlantic that sunk cargo ships and passenger ships eventually, and the United States entered the war in April of 1917. Now, at that time, we were very small in terms of size. We only had about 200 men in uniform, both regular Army and National Guard, that was federalized. And from April to May, when we passed the first Selective Service Act, things just sort of really got going. June the 5th, 1917, was the first registration of men from the ages of 21 to 31.
Okay.
And that's when my grandfather came into play, because he was born about 1890, I think 93 is what his draft registration card said. So come registration day, he registered, and as I looked at the draft registrations, we have that collection on Family Search. I found his registration and two of his brothers. So I was looking into them.
And those are so fun, by the way. That's one of those things that so many people who are new to family history are so shocked when they can actually see the actual record where they signed up for the draft with their signature on it, a description of them, who they were working for, what their birth date was. I mean, there was so much information on it, but I think just seeing that signature on the card and realizing, oh my gosh, they're signing up for a draft for a war that could get them killed, it's kind of personal, isn't it?
It really is. And after he registered in July of that year, the general lottery was held where they determined the order of the selection. And his number came up pretty high. And, you know, the Selective Service was always in the local newspapers. So if you have someone who registered for the draft, it would be a good idea to check local newspapers as to see how it's reported, because what I found out when I went to the paper, he was about 7th or 8th in line to be inducted.
Oh, wow. So they put their names in or the birthdays?
Well, after the general lottery was held in Washington to determine the order of selection, that was published in the paper, and I went down the list. It was published in the Davis County Clipper, which was a local newspaper, so a week later it was in. He came in about 7th or 8th. They used his name, but the order of selection was determined by the serial number, which is on the draft registration cards.
Oh, okay. And so they would randomly draw those numbers.
They would randomly draw those numbers to determine the order of selection, so he came up pretty high. This is a little speculation. He enlisted on July 28th, a week after this general lottery was held. So this tells me he probably saw the writing on the wall, and so he enlisted.
Sure. And which branch did he go into?
He enlisted, I think, in the local National Guard here. He was with the 145th Field Artillery when he shipped out on October 10th for training in California.
Okay. And so you followed him through his course, then went through the training. Do you have any letters that he wrote back from the war?
Haven't found any letters, but he did write a few poems that we have in our possession. Since I didn't have all the particulars, you know, he told me he went to training camp out in California, and then he talked about going to France. And then he said over in France he joined the Tank Corps, and they sent him to England for training. That's all that I knew about his story.
Sure.
So given the whole process of this, what a lot of researchers don't know or need to investigate further is those draft registration cards don't tell you anything about who was inducted into the military.
And so where do people find that?
Well, now they have to start doing a little bit of digging. Perhaps they have information with a discharge certificate or a picture, or they might have a victory medal or some other information in the family that says if someone served. I happen to have that kind of information, so I was sort of already pointed in that direction. But other people may not, because the Selective Service starts with a registration, you're classified, and then the selection process, and there's the induction, then you're sent off to training camp.
Now, what were the ages, generally speaking? You mentioned 21 was the youngest. Did they ever draft them at 18?
The first two registrations, they registered the men from the ages of 21 to 31. The third registration, they registered them from 18 to 45.
Okay, so they broadened the thing. They needed more people at that time.
But we inducted 2.8 million, and most of those probably came from the first and second registrations.
Got it. And how many did we lose in World War I?
Battle deaths, I think around 50,000, but we lost a fair number, too, due to the flu pandemic that was going on in 1918.
And I would imagine there were a lot of people back home that got the flu as a result of all the boys coming home, right?
It was obviously a pandemic, as terrible as that was a problem. So I would say we probably lost, if you include wounds and disease, about 100,000.
Wow. So he was over there then for how long before the armistice was signed?
Well, he got over there in April. He shipped out of Hoboken, New Jersey, the passenger lists when the Army shipped the soldiers by convoy, the troop transports over to Europe. Those are available, too. They're on Fold 3. But he left Hoboken, New Jersey, April 1918, went to France. They shipped him to England, and just recently I found the training camp that he went to in England, in Dorset, England, for the 301st Tank Battalion. And then from there he was shipped out back to France and fought in the war from about August to the armistice.
Did he have any problems afterwards as a result of his combat time?
Well, he was in the tank course. He was in one of those British tanks.
Okay.
But talking to my father, he said he got gassed, but he didn't want to tell anybody, because he didn't want to be delayed coming home.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, because they were going to treat him there.
Right, and he probably had some residuals. It must not have been too bad. I'm not a doctor, can't really say, but that's what my father said. But he got back to the United States in March of 1919, was eventually discharged at Fort D.A. Russell in Wyoming, came home and got married.
Came home, got married, and his health was good.
Good enough, I guess.
Did he consider this one of the, I won't say highlights of his life, but one of the defining periods of his life?
I think for veterans, the wars never really end.
Yeah.
It was very much a part of his life growing up because he was active in the local American Legion post.
I see.
And I think that can be a good source of information, too. If those applications still exist in the local posts for veterans who joined the organization, because the American Legion got its start after World War I in 1919, those membership applications can be an invaluable source as well. Because one thing we have to remember is fires are very devastating to records.
Yeah.
And the service records for this generation really, for the most part, do not exist because of a terrible fire in July 1973 at the National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis.
Yeah.
We lost 16 to 18 million files for men that were in the service from 1912 to 1960.
Wow.
And so you look for alternate sources like a unit history or a discharge or an application to a local American Legion post, obituary in the newspaper, cemetery tombstones might have military unit information because that's something you've got to find, the correct military unit, so that you're on the right track.
All right, he's Ken Nelson. He's a World War I specialist because his grandfather was over there. And Ken, thanks so much for coming on. If you want to hear more from Ken about researching your World War I ancestor, just sign up at our patrons page at extremegenes.com, and you can enjoy the bonus podcasts that only come to members right there. We'll be back talking to Tara Bergson about Roots Tech 2018. They've named the first keynote speaker. You're going to want to know who it is. That's coming up in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And welcome back to Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment of our show is brought to you by 23andMe.com DNA, and I cannot believe we are already in October, looking down the barrel at Roots Tech 2018. And if you're unfamiliar with it, this is kind of the Disneyland of family history conferences. If you're new to family history, you're going to want to know all about this. And that's why I've got Tara Bergson on the line right now. She's the director of content for Roots Tech, which happens in Salt Lake City, Utah, coming up in late February this year. Hi, Tara. How are you? Welcome to Extreme Genes.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I'm just looking to the calendar here and realizing this is kind of a big change from over the years, because in the past we've been in early February, but this year, February 28th through March 3rd. Why the change?
We're hoping for warmer weather. I mean, we are in Salt Lake City, Utah. We never know when that cold front's going to hit us. No. This was when we could get space at our conference center and felt like it was the right time to have it. Maybe there'll be a little bit warmer, too.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yes, absolutely. And it's a lot more fun to go between the convention center there and over to the Family History Library, too, in the evenings, I would think.
Right. You can get a lot of research done at that library while you're here.
So for people who are not familiar with Roots Tech, this is the 9th year. And the first year, I'm thinking you had like just a few hundred people show up, right?
Right around 300 people that we had come to our first event. And now we are approaching close to 30,000. I think we came in just around 28,000 for our 2017 event.
28,000 people last year. And then there are many more who watch it online. Do you know the numbers on that?
Oh, geez. We have about 30,000 unique individuals that watch online.
Okay.
But they come back day over day. We stream everything for free. And so they come and they watch amazing classes on DNA and family trees and find out what the latest is, and of course watch last year's innovation showcase that we had. And so, yeah, we have about 150,000 views streaming. Again, that equates to about 30,000 unique individuals watching.
Wow. And
that's around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a board actually here in the office that posts comments from around the world. We have comments from Mexico and Australia and Europe and all over of people that are watching Roots Tech that are unable to attend live in person.
Now, we had all kinds of great celebrity guests last year who were keynote speakers. The Property Brothers came, and if you're not familiar with them, of course, they talk about flipping houses and fixing up old ones, and I was really surprised. They were excellent. They were fantastic, talking about their background, their family trees, and their roots, and how they've learned about that. And then there's Buddy Valastro, too, who was the cake guy, right?
Right. We actually even had a cake competition on site. That was a lot of fun. It was something we'd never done before, and we were amazed at the caliber of cake artists we had come and display on different kinds of family events that they have.
And you may wonder what the cake guy has to do with family history. It had to do with old family recipes.
Yeah. And, you know, his business, of course, has been handed down from his father to him, and all of his family is involved in that business in New Jersey. And so he talked about his father and immigration and the passing down of those wonderful recipes that everybody goes to Hoboken for.
And I think the biggest, most emotional moment was LeVar Burton's keynote address, where it was revealed at the end his lineage, which he had never been able to break through before in his own research. And seeing Tom Reed from Family Search deliver that to him, dressed in traditional African garb, was absolutely unbelievable.
I don't think there was a dry eye in the room, and 10,000 people attending that keynote session. Everyone was visibly moved, and we just have recently posted that keynote session at rootstech.org, so anyone can go and watch it if they were unable to attend and see it.
And I'm excited to be among the very first to announce the very first keynote speaker for the 2018 Roots Tech, and that is?
That will be Scott Hamilton, the international ice skater, who will be joining us shortly from returning from the Korean Olympics. Olympics end on Sunday, their closing ceremonies. He'll come home, hopefully adjust to the time frame, and then he'll come and speak at Roots Tech 2018.
Isn't that unbelievable? This is a guy who's overcome a brain tumor. He was the world champ for 4 straight years, the U.S. champ for 4 straight years. He was the gold medalist in 1984. And this guy knows about achieving goals. When you're researching your family, you got to set those. So he's the first of 4.
Yes, that we will be announcing over the next few weeks. Stay tuned. If you don't subscribe to rootstech.org's newsletter or emails, that'd be a great place for you to find out. You can also go to rootstech.org to see who it is that will be coming. And I can promise you, we will be having some fun announcements over the next little while. Some different kinds of contests that will be coming up, similar to the cake competition we did for 2017. And some other exciting keynotes will be there as well.
All right. Now, I think we touched on the change of dates a little bit, and there's some changes even within the dates we need to talk about.
Right. So a conference is starting Wednesday, February 28th, and goes through Saturday, March 3rd of 2018. Some changes that we're having. RootsTech is now a full 4-day experience. In the past, we had Innovator Summit on Wednesday. We're now including that in your registration with RootsTech. And we're going to have a general session on Wednesday afternoon. Your regular sessions will start at 9:30 Wednesday morning. So we're really recommending that anyone coming to RootsTech does their check-in on Tuesday. So check-in will open on Tuesday at noon. Lots of new and fun things happening and some changes as well.
So if you want to register for this, it's an easy thing to do. You go to rootstech.org, and obviously you can figure out how many days you want to be there or if you want to be there for the entire 4-day event. And there's also a page there for hotels in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah, we have hotels that are very close to the Salt Palace. They're within walking distance, so even though it's Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's a little bit cold sometimes, you're just a few feet away from the Salt Palace door and can walk right from your hotel.
All right, so let's talk about the Expo Hall a little bit. That place gets more and more packed every year with new businesses and new people wanting to share new products.
Yeah, we have over 300 booths available in our Expo Hall, and it is just a buzz of activity. It's vibrant and alive in that facility there. You can come and walk through. We have everything from Ancestry, living DNA, to local people that do art with your family history. You can buy bracelets and beading, but there's also classes. We have a theater in the back where we do 20-minute sessions, so we do 3 sessions an hour where you can sit and learn more about family history, all the way from records and photos and digitization and even DNA classes that will be offered back there. So even just if you can come and experience the Expo Hall, you will walk away with amazing learnings and a lot of information that you never thought you could have before.
Yeah, the demonstrations are absolutely incredible, as are the classes. And last year I emceed the DNA panel, and it was just incredible. The place was packed. In fact, I would recommend anybody looking to come for a DNA class at RootsTech, get there early, get signed up for it, because that is a tough place to get into sometimes.
Yeah, DNA is one of our most popular classes that we have, as well as like German. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
A lot of Germans, of course, immigrated to the U.S. And our class schedule is available, and it is up online, so you can see the classes we have. There'll be some tweaking that needs to go on before we finalize that by the end of October. But it is available, so you can see what classes are there. We offer a Getting Started Pass. So if you're just new and you're not quite sure about all of this, whether it be to the conference or just to family history in general, we have Getting Started classes that are there to help you feel more comfortable and learn how to do family history work.
Well, I'm so excited about all this. I'm going to be teaching 2 classes myself this year. So check out the schedule. You go to rootstech.org. You can find out how to get reservations at local hotels. And, of course, you can make sure that you get your tickets for the number of days you want, the level of participation. She's Tara Bergson. She's the Director of Content for RootsTech. Thank you so much for your time, Tara. It sounds like it's going to be another great time at RootsTech 2018.
Thank you so much.
And coming up next, Tom Perry talks preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, in 3 minutes. Well, Genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world. world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need MyHeritage.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
Legacy Tree Genealogists is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries. legacytree.com.
And it is preservation time at Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And this segment is brought to you by FamilySearch.org. Tom Perry is in the house. Haven't seen you. You've been on the road for a long time. How you doing, Tom?
Oh, super duper. 2 months on the road, got to see a lot of the country. Took my 15-year-old with me. He had an absolute awesome time. Saw a lot of the history sites from the founding of America, which was really great. Had a good time. And I had to use a GPS to find the studio again. It's been so long.
It has been. Tom, of course, with tmcplace.com. And recently we got this incredible email relating to Tom. It's going to take pretty much the whole segment, but you're going to find it's worth it. Lori Fortner emails us that she recently found Extreme Genes, and she said, it's kept me company on my 4 trips back and forth to Iowa from Houston this year. My parents are elderly, and I drive from Houston to keep them in their house. On my most recent visit, I rescued a huge bag of negatives that date back to the 20s and 30s. While I was visiting a cousin, she took out a huge box of antique photos for me to take back to Houston with me. Now, while I was chatting about the old photos, my cousin said in passing, I have another bag of negatives from Aunt Mary's that I'll throw into the burn pit tomorrow. Oh, the bag was outside by the burn barrel. Our family came that close to losing a priceless chunk of our story. I picked up the sack of negatives, put it into the van. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with such a large collection of negatives other than preserve them for our family members. So with the bagged photos safely loaded into the van, I left for home. I spent most of my trip thinking about how am I going to develop my treasured negatives. I have absolutely no money to spend at this time because of all the trips. So I came up with the idea of using a light table, an iPhone on 2 times, and the software app PS Express on my cell phone. And later, I used Adobe Photoshop Elements, which is what I use all the time. It's not as good as a high-powered scanner, but it's all I have right now. So I've been busy uploading photos to Facebook for others to see. I uploaded an example of my work using the above-mentioned process. So what did I get in this batch of photos? My great-great-grandmother standing in her apple orchard with her second husband. She was famous for her apple wine. Another negative, my great-grandmother washing her car along with her 2- and 3-year-old helpers. One is my grandmother. And since Halloween is on the way, I've attached one of the strangest photos I've ever seen. The man is Frank Skalicki, and the woman on her deathbed is Teresa Batlech Skalicki. Teresa died in June of 1923. Older family members had told us of this photo as they were children, and they were scared of it. But when I asked around about it, no one seemed to have it. I found 2 different negatives of the deathbed scene. And it is frightening, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, it is. It's crazy. In fact, I don't know who's more scary, either Frank standing behind his wife that's on her deathbed or the deathbed photo itself. But yeah, it is a scary picture we'll put up on Facebook.
Yeah, and Lori says, by the way, the moral of my story, which I hope you and Fisher pass on to your listeners, Tom, don't toss the negatives. Well, we've been saying that for a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely. I beg our listeners, if you ever have negatives or photos, you don't know who they are, and you're going to throw them in the burn barrel, or you have friends or neighbors or anybody you hear that story, send them to me. If you can't afford to send them to me, I'll send you a postage paid envelope. You can throw them in and get them to me so we can find who they belong to.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Lori, that is absolutely incredible. And what I take from this, the best part of what she's writing here is do something, even if you can't afford, the full proper treatment, do something to preserve those things, rescue them, because maybe you'll have money down the line. Just keep them somewhere and keep them safe and get it done. But actually, the job she did on these pictures, fantastic.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You need to do something better than nothing.
Exactly, and she has done exactly that. All right, we're going to talk more about this incredible email from Lori coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. And we are back. America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com, talking about preservation with Tom Perry from TMCplace.com. It is Fisher here, and what a great email from Lori Fortner out of Iowa, talking about how she found these incredible negatives from the 20s and 30s relating to her family. She could not afford to have them actually developed properly, so she went about creating her own method and did a great job.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm really impressed with the job she did. And as we were saying at the end of the last segment, it's better to do something that's not complete than nothing at all. There are so many different ways to do this on the cheap. One of the things we talk about constantly is a shot box. You can buy a shot box retail, the deluxe version, for $200. If you're an Extreme Gene listener, you get it for like $170. And there's so many things you can do with that little device. I've shot YouTube videos in it with my laptop sitting inside the box. If you have the deluxe version, it has what's called a side shot. You can turn that sideways so it's facing away from the shot box itself, and it has an LED light built into it as well, and you can put that over something up to 11 by 17, so it's really, really big. Get a light box. If you have a university in your area, I guarantee they have a surplus, and go and knock on their door, talk to them, and they sell these things for cheap, and they work great. And you pick up $25 for something like that,
Really?
And that's great for doing your negatives. Oh, absolutely.
I wonder if they'd take my old microfilm reader in trade.
I think you're out of luck there, but I might take it in trade. But there are so many ways to do it. I hate to say it on the cheap, but that's the way to do it. You know, if you have situations like that, if you have a good 35mm camera and a tripod, if you have the kind of tripod where you can unscrew the bottom part that goes up and down, you can take that off, put it in upside down so the pole's going up instead of down.
Yes.
Then mount your camera, get a couple of lights, and put your photos or whatever you're scanning down underneath it, or a light box or whatever you have, adjust the height right, and you can shoot it. If you want to use your iPhone, like we mentioned with your shot box, if you're getting little teeny negatives, you can buy for about $20 this really cool lens that you can use as a wide-angle lens, and you can also use it as a macro lens.
Wow.
Which means if you're shooting really teeny things, your iPhone can handle it, or your Android, or whatever you have. There's so many ways to do this on the cheap. Another thing we mentioned on a few shows was this Epson scanner. If you can afford it and you want to get an absolutely killer scanner that is beautiful for negatives and slides, it'll also work for photos, of course. We use it for negatives. It's called an Epson J as in John 221B as in boy. It's a really super high-end scanner. It's beautiful. And you have two options. When you're done scanning it, you can either sell it on eBay, or you can donate to your local historical society and take it as a tax deduction.
Yeah, what a great idea. Or you just buy it with a group of people in your family and share it as needed at reunions.
And it is a great scanner. I love it to death. I'm really pleased with it. There's so many different ways to do things. And this lady is very creative. She's really creative with the way she's done this. If you say, hey, my negatives are bowed, if you get some glass, some really clear optical glass, you can set it on top of them on the light box. It will keep them flat. And if you're getting glare, get a polarizing filter, which you can get at any good quality camera store. Make sure it's what they call a dual stage, where there's two rings to it, not just the one, because then you can turn the one ring until all the glare disappears, set your iPhone on it, and shoot away. And if you have problems with your iPhone not staying on the filter because it's too small a filter, get a pencil and put it on the other end of your iPhone.
Wow.
It'll keep it totally flat, and it looks absolutely beautiful. When I shot this YouTube video, I could not believe how wonderful it came out.
Well, you have some ideas, don't you, Tom?
I got a couple.
I think we could be going for another 10 minutes. Thanks so much. We'll see you again next week.
My pleasure.
Hey, that's a wrap for this week. Thanks to our guest, Ken Nelson from FamilySearch.org, a project specialist, talking about how you can research your World War I vets during this centennial year. Also to Tara Bergson from Roots Tech, talking about what's coming up in 2018. If you missed any of it, catch the podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or ExtremeGenes.com. Download our free app from your store onto your phone. You can catch all the back shows right there. And don't forget to sign up for our Patrons Club. Go to ExtremeGenes.com, click on the link, or go to Patreon.com/ExtremeGenes. You get all kinds of great bonuses there. Talk to you next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.